WADR. Promoting dialogue.
Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Unidentified assailants strike the Burkinabe Army and Defense Forces, killing 40 and leaving 33 injured. Investigative report alleges Ghanaian presidency's involvement in gold smuggling and money laundering. Dozens of Senegalese civil society and political groups joined forces to prevent President Sall from seeking a third term in office. And Nigeria's Electoral Commission holds announcement of Adamawa State Governor election results.
The Commission has suspended further collation of results in Adamawa State, and the Commission has summoned the returning officer to Abuja, and the returning officer is already in Abuja. The Commission has also summoned the resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State.
Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. Stay tuned.
Here is Tofik Abdoulnasir with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us. Our top story takes us to Burkina Faso, where an attack on the army and volunteer defense forces left 40 dead and 33 others injured. According to the government statement on Sunday, unidentified assailants were responsible for the attack, which took place on Saturday in the village of Orema near the town of Ouahingoya in the northern region. The area has been a hotbed for terrorist activities, with Islamist groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and Islamic State launching frequent attacks. Ogeobi Erika has the latest report on the attack.
These attacks come 9 days after gunmen killed 44 people in the villages of Kuraku and Tondobi in the north of the country. The statement said that 6 soldiers and 34 members of a volunteer defense force were killed in Saturday's attack. The government has encouraged civilians to join local defense forces to try and stem 8 years of violence in which thousands of people have died and millions have been forced to flee their homes. The unrest in Burkina Faso triggered 2 coups last year by the military, which has vowed to retake control of the country but has failed to stop attacks. Unrest in the region began in Mali in 2012 when militants hijacked a Tuareg separatist uprising. The violence has since spread into neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger and threatens to destabilize coastal countries further afield. The security situation in Burkina Faso remains highly volatile, and efforts to bring an end to the violence have so far warranted the transitional government to devise various means, which include recruitment of citizens to the war front, elimination of foreign media, and orientation for locals to desist from reports that leverages the power of the terrorist group.
Ogeobi Erika filed that report. In Ghana, an Al Jazeera investigative documentary series has uncovered shocking evidence of gold smuggling and money laundering syndicates implicating the Ghanaian presidency. The 4-part series reveals that undercover journalists posing as Chinese gangsters engaged Alistair Matthias, a self-described financial architect who has a history of successful orchestrating such schemes. Matthias claimed to have executed similar operations in Ghana and boasted about being friends with the country's president, who he also said used to be his lawyer. The documentary exposes Matthias' modus operandi, which relies on the trust that some corrupt politicians have in him to stash away their embezzled resources. We will bring you more details in our evening bulletin. The appeal trial of Usman Sonko, the leader of the opposition PASTEF, who was sued for defamation by Tourism Minister Mamin Baminyang, has been postponed by a court in Dakar to May 8, 2023. Sonko had previously been given a 2-month suspended prison sentence and was ordered to pay 200 million CFA francs in damages on March 30th. Despite this sentence, Sonko is still able to run for the presidency presidential election on February 23, 2024. Sonko had accused Nyang of being indicted in a report regarding the management of a 29 billion product fund. The prosecutor had requested a 2-year prison sentence with 1 year to be served. Turning our attention to Benin, where the government expressed its interest in security collaboration with Rwanda. During a joint press conference with Rwanda's Paul Kagame in Cotonou, Beninese President Patrice Talon stated his readiness to take military cooperation with Kigali. Both heads of state expressed the intention to strengthen their country's military cooperation. As James Ejapon reports, President Talon emphasized the experience and expertise of the Rwandan army in Mozambique and the Central African Republic.
During the joint press briefing in Cotonou on Saturday, Benin President Talon stressed the importance of military cooperation with Rwanda to combat terrorism in northern Benin. He recalled that Rwandan troops have already demonstrated their competence in Mozambique and the Central African Republic and emphasized the expertise present in Africa that can benefit other countries. President Talon further stated that there are no limits to military cooperation with Rwanda, which could begin with supervision, coaching, expertise, training, and if necessary, a joint deployment. Rwandan President Paul Kagame also expressed his willingness to share his army's expertise and capacity with Benin. He praised the capabilities of his army acquired over time and believes that cooperation between the two countries can address security challenges and be mutually beneficial. Discussions between the two countries' leaders, Beninese government spokesman Wilfred Leandre Hubeji said, include the possibility of logistical support from Kigali to Cotonou to help fight against terrorist attacks affecting northern Benin bordering Burkina Faso, which has been targeted by armed groups since December 2021. These incursions have already claimed the lives of several Beninese soldiers, and this collaboration, Humbeji said, is seen as necessary to combat the rising threat of terrorism in the region.
James Ejapon reporting there.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We head to Nigeria for some updates on the Adamawa State Governor election. The country's Electoral Commission has halted the announcement of results and declared the nullity of Aisha Dahiru's declaration as the first elected female state governor in the election. According to a series of tweets by the National Commissioner of Information and Voter Education, VAR. National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee Festus Okoye said the election processes was not concluded before the announcement was made. Speaking to newsmen in the federal capital, Festus tasked security agencies to arrest and prosecute those who brutalized one of its national commissioners deployed to Adamawa State for the supplementary governorship poll.
Well, the situation in Adamawa State is that the commission has suspended further collation of results in Adamawa State. This commission appointed a collation/returning officer for the governorship election in Adamawa State. And we appointed the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Maiduguri as the collation/returning officer. The commission has not relieved him of that particular responsibility. The resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State exercises what we call delegated authority, powers delegated to him by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The acting as collation and returning officer are not part of the powers delegated to him. So he had no right whatsoever to go and make a declaration and also make a return. When there have been results that have been warehoused and there have also been supplementary results that were ongoing. 10 local governments have been announced. The other local governments have not been announced. So it was out of place for him to assume the task of a returning officer, go and make a declaration and a return when collation was still ongoing. So the commission has suspended further collation of results in Adamawa State, and the commission has summoned the returning officer to Abuja, and the returning officer is already in Abuja. The commission has also summoned the resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State to Abuja. If you see what is trending, two national commissioners were deployed to Adamawa State. One of them was brutalized. One of them was stripped naked. naked. That will not be allowed to stand. The security agencies must unmask those who engage in that particular act. They must be arrested, they must be investigated, and they must be prosecuted. A national commissioner cannot be treated as if he or she is a common criminal. A former vice chancellor of Usman Danfodio University, a senior citizen, was stripped naked and dragged. This commission will not allow that to stand.
Festus Okoye is INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee. Still on electoral matters, Gambia's President Adama Barrow's ruling National People's Party (NPP) emerges winner of the local government elections held on Saturday. However, the victory was a narrow one as the NPP lost in the two largest regions of the country, while winning by a landslide in the capital city, Banjul. Despite being a significant event, the election recorded one of the poorest voter turnouts in the country's history, with less than half of registered voters casting via ballot. From Banjul, Sankole Janko provides more details.
Ali Mohamed Njai, chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission (IEC), announced the final results of the local government elections that just ended. The IEC revealed that President Barrow's ruling NPP won 52 of the 120 wards in the country, including 7 out of the 9 seats in the capital city Banjul. The NPP also emerged victorious in most of the provincial regions, such as the Upper River region, Central River region, and North Bank regions. However, the leading opposition United Democratic Party (UDP) won the 2 most populous regions, claiming 45 out of the contested seats. In the West Coast region, the UDP won 16 out of 28 seats, while the breakaway faction of the former ruling Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, loyal to former President Yahya Jammeh, won 7 seats. President Barrow's NPP managed to win only 1 seat in total. The election on Saturday was peaceful and free according to domestic observers. However, they expressed concerns about the low voter turnout, with only 243,899 out of the 962,157 registered voters, less than half participating. Civil society organization leader and election observer Farmer Johnny suggested that the IEC should develop better mechanisms to encourage more voters to participate. Meanwhile, the representation of women in Gambian politics continues to be a significant issue, as only 18 of the 58 women who contested for councillors were elected. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankole Janko reporting from Banjul.
We are back here in Senegal as a coalition of political parties and civil society organizations named Movement Forces Vives du Senegal F24 is formed to oppose President Macky Sall. The platform, which includes 100 political parties and civil society organizations, was launched yesterday in the country with the aim of preventing President Sall from seeking a third term in office. Further details on this development will be provided by Matisi.
The Mouvement Forces Vives du Sénégal, F24, is a platform consisting of 112 political parties and civil society organizations. Signatories include prominent political figures such as opponent Ousmane Sonko, former Prime Minister Mimi Touré, former Mayor of Dakar Khalifa Sall, and opposition MPs. Civil society groups such as the movement Y'en a marre and the African Meeting for the Defense of Human Rights are also involved. The coalition's main objective is to prevent Senegalese President Macky Sall from running for a third term in the February 2024 presidential elections. F24 is calling for the removal of several articles of the Electoral Code and sponsorship that could prevent potential candidates from participating in the upcoming presidential election. The platform is also urging the release of political prisoners and the creation of consensual conditions for a peaceful, inclusive, and transparent presidential election. To amplify their message, F24 is planning a large mobilization event on May 5th in Dakar, followed by a series of national and diaspora events. In the past months, the political space in Senegal has been in turmoil following a series of violent protests.
Matisi filed that report. It's 14 minutes past the hour 12. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Unidentified assailants strike the Burkinabe Army and Defense Forces, killing 40 and leaving 33 injured. Investigative report alleges Ghanaian presidency's involvement in gold smuggling and money laundering. Dozens of Senegalese civil society and political groups joined forces to prevent President Sall from seeking a third term in office. And Nigeria's Electoral Commission holds announcement of Adamawa State Governor election results. Still ahead are the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Stay tuned.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
A socio-cultural organization, Igbo Indigenes Without Borders, has appealed to Nigeria's President-elect Bola Tinubu to intervene in the case of former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ikweremadu. Alongside his wife and a medical doctor, Ikweremadu has been convicted of attempting to harvest organs in London. During a news conference in Abuja, the group's president, Dr. Bernard Oshie, made the plea. Here is Usman Umar in Abuja with the report.
Dr. Bernard Oshie, who spoke highly of President-elect Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a good man, expressed confidence that the President-elect would not allow DSP Ikweremadu to be detained in a foreign country due to an offense that arose from parental instinct.
We are not oblivious to the allegation against him. We are clearly aware that not structure of words can be articulate enough to earn your indulgence. We are simply bending the knee and seeking leniency for the family locked away in a foreign land. We are appealing that whatever pronouncement of punishment will be made should be put into consideration. The senator's parental instinct to provide care for his sick daughter, even at the distressing cost of having to seek for a kidney donor. This is not the type of crime a man should be abandoned to face alone.
The secretary of the group, Paulson Chukwuemeka, emphasized that DSP Ikweremadu has served the country with diligence and should not be abandoned during this difficult time.
I want to appeal to the President of Nigeria and the President-elect to please look into this. You know, it's just like one of our own is out there. Ikweremadu is not just any person. It's somebody that has impacted, made his own impact, even in the house. You understand? He has passed so many bills, he has sponsored so many bills, okay, that is impacting the government or the country right now.
Victoria Eze, a member of the group, urged all compassionate parents, especially women, to support the family, emphasizing that such an occurrence could happen to anyone.
No one is justifying what has happened, but what can happen to me is what can happen to you, is what can happen to anybody. As a mother, as a father, if anything happened to your own child, you can go to any length to save your own child. So we are pleading to help, not because we are justifying what has happened, but to help and look into the matter.
The conviction of Ikweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a medical doctor by the United Kingdom Central Criminal Court in London for arranging the travel of a 21-year-old Nigerian to London with the intention of harvesting his kidney for the treatment of the senator's daughter has been confirmed, and the trial is awaiting sentencing. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
This is the newspaper review. Stay on top of the news. Get the most important stories with added insight and concise review.
This is the newspaper review.
Here is Usman Umar with the major headlines from the Nigerian dailies.
Hello and thanks for joining the press review segment today with me, Usman Umar, all the way from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Today we have two papers for review. As you must have been aware, Saturday was a day slated for rerun of most of the governorship and State House of Assembly elections across Nigeria. So this story dominates most of the national dailies. Now we're picking the Punch newspaper. The Punch has as its banner headline, Adamawa Resident Electoral Commissioner under fire, faces Independent National Electoral Commission panel today. With riders, Adamawa, APC, that is All Progressives Congress, PDP, People's Democratic Party clash. Resident Electoral Commissioner faces 36 months imprisonment. Second rider, Independent National Electoral Commission annuls Binani's declaration as governor-elect, says resident electoral commissioner usurps returning officer's power. The last rider for this story says Atiku, Fintiri, PDP, kick, Adamawa APC hails Binani as supporters jubilate. Of course, as we speak today, the INEC headquarters is serving as a host to the resident electoral commissioner, the state returning officer, and a number of other officials, including security personnel, in order for them to provide clarity to what's transpired, in the state yesterday. Aviation unions to ground flights at airports today, but the federal government is yet to respond to the union's demands, and then it's yet to be known what's next to be done regarding the closure of shops by these particular aviation workers. The second, and of course the last paper for consideration today, is The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper, it has as its banner headline, "Near bankrupt states, unviable projects await 18 new governors." The detail of this story is on page 6 of the newspaper, but you have an infographic showing states that are in the red, and of course showing that the states are bankrupt already, and the new governors coming to take over will definitely have a hard time getting the states out of these present economic challenges that they were dipped into by the previous administration as a result of excessive borrowings in the name of the state without actually commensurate projects to show for such borrowings. And now this is the much we have for you on Press Review segment today. It's back to you in the studio.
Usman Umar there with the major headlines from the Nigerian dailies.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview today is centered on the coalition of political parties and civil society organizations named Movement Forces Vives du Senegal F24, which was formed over the weekend to oppose President Macky Sall. The platform, which includes 100 political parties and civil society organizations, was launched yesterday in the country with the aim of preventing President Sall from seeking a third term in office. Mamadou Chor, a Senegalese political analyst, joins us to elaborate on the formation of the Movement Forces Vives du Senegal coalition while he examines the current state of democracy in the country.
So this new initiative is the same we got in 2011, so-called then M23. It was in June. Demonstration of people fighting the then president Abdoulnasir for the third term. So almost the same people launched this new initiative to fight. A third term in case the current president Macky Sall is wanting to do that. So it's, as we say, a bis repetita. Maybe nobody could not imagine that 11 years later we could have witnessed this kind of initiative fighting a third term, because most Senegalese thought that this is a done issue, that no more in our history will be facing a campaign to fight a third term for the current president.
Right. Do you think this coalition or this group, Force Vive, will be able to fight Macky Sall in case if he decides to go for the third term? Yeah,
the chance maybe they have. They started earlier than the first initiative we have in 2011, but that one started in June. So this one started in April, almost 1 year from the presidential election due next year. So these show that they have time. And when you look at the civil society, political organization, and others, there are more than 100 organizations. It means there's a lot of people, backing up this initiative. So we can say that they will give maybe hard time to the President Macky Sall and his supporters in case he wants to run for a third term.
Right. Looking at how pressure is mounting on the president, he has not spoken about his decision yet, and already a coalition has been formed to fight him. So do you think Macky Sall would want to seek for a third term?
More and more of his supporters are, putting pressure on him. They said that he will be their candidate for, next year election. So, there is a bit of doubt as far as he's concerned himself, because he has not made it clear. But for his supporters, there is no way. Either he want it or not, he'll be the candidate. So what will he decide? Time will tell. But the closer we get, I know that starting from June, when we will be starting the campaign heading to the next year election, he'll be compelled to come out and make it clear, either by declaring publicly or by, gathering what we call the parrainage, or to support his candidacy.
Looking at some of this analysis you have made, the examples you've cited, how would you describe the state of democracy in Senegal currently?
Democracy is still vibrant in Senegal, because the last time we experienced this kind of initiative under Abdoulaye Wade, people were scared. But at the results, Senegal decided to solve the problem by voting him out. And even more and more people are saying no, there is no way to bring in violence. People are mature enough to know what they want on February the 25th. So it's mean that we are used to go to the ballots and know which kind of choice Senegalese are making. And when you try to talk to people, most of them, these two term is something done. It's a done deal. For them, there is no way for anybody to go beyond 2 terms, because they consider that it's enough for a current president.
Mamadou Chor is a Senegalese political analyst. Sankule Janko joins us now with sports news.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The CAF Executive Committee approved a recommendation by CAF Youth Organizing Committee and CAF Medical Organizing Committee to amend Article 27 of the Total Energies under 17 African Cup of Nations regulations. This decision was made to curb age cheating in African youth football. Part of the approved regulation, Article 27 requires that during the qualifying phase, an eligibility test will be compulsory performed for all the participating teams before the start of the matches. The test will be performed according to CAF protocol in a health facility duly accredited center where there is an MRI apparatus, magnetic resonance imaging. The regulation also indicates CAF reserves the right to make the eligibility test MRI as well during the final phase for the 12 teams qualified to the tournament. The cost of MRI tests will be covered by CAF. To deter age cheating, the regulation states if after performing the eligibility test MRI for a participating team and 4 or more of its players are found eligible, the participating team will be disqualified. If after performing an MRI test for a participating team and 1 or 2 or 3 of its players are found ineligible, the said players will not be allowed to participate in the competition. The concerned team will be allowed to participate in the competition but is not authorized to replace the ineligible players. Age cheating has rocked African football in recent times, with latest age cheating scandals happening in Cameroon as well as Liberia. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
We have come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to our listeners in the Gambia via Hot 104.3 FM Banjul, and in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM Lofa County. In Ghana on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi. Inyas Bilimu has been on the console. Mustafa Sek has been streaming live on Facebook. Do interact with us via social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram at WADR News. We are on Facebook at West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Tofik Abdoulnasir. Good afternoon.
News, talk, music. Get it all 24 hours on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9.